Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Backstage Pass. Thanks for tuning in and joining me. We've got a great movie review coming up. There's lots of great things that are happening in and around the community. And, of course, we have a special guest this week. Sharyn Ayliffe, General Manager of Theatre Orangeville, is going to lay bare all the secrets of what happens around here. We actually got the tree out of the basement this year, which we haven't done in about 3 years. So it's fantastic. So welcome. So I don't know, I guess a lot of people of our audience and patrons know who you are, but they might not have met you because it's certainly in the capacity that you're in now, because tell us about that adventure, about being in the office and new, because you're no longer new on the job, but how does that feel?
Well, I mean, everybody, I'm not giving this up because we've given it to everybody else. Everybody at TOV gets a full year, a full round of around the sun before they have to give up their newness. So I mean, I have been here since 2011. So one might suggest that that's expired, but I've only been in the seat since March. So I'm holding on to that new GM until at least next March.
For sure. So, I mean, you were really only in the seat for about 3 weeks, and then the world changed.
It was 11 days after I moved into that office when we opened and closed too close to home on the same night. So it was a pretty quick turnaround, and the path that I sort of thought we were on was very different, very suddenly.
Well, we'll be back. Well, I'm in the office right now, but you know, we only do that on I only come in to, I think, record this show so that you don't see the debris that is my house these days. Of course, you've been with the theater for, it's 9 years, of course, and you're so instrumental in all of our youth programming. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But this is home for you, right? You are,
yes,
you are born and bred here.
Yeah, I grew up, when I was born, my parents lived in Alton, and they moved to the Hockley Valley when I was about 18 months old, and my mom's still there. We've been here sort of forever, at least my forever. And when I moved out on my own, I owned a home in Amaranth, and about 5 years ago, I moved into town. So it's the first, 5 years has been the only 5 years I've ever actually lived in Orangeville. I was one of those country kids that took the bus and was desperate to get my license when I was 19, or when I was 16, so that I could come and go as I please. But yeah, Orangeville's been home my whole life. So
that makes, now, did you go to, where'd you go? You went to ODSS?
Yes, I went to ODSS and Monoam before that, but.
Oh, right.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, I was a Humber college student too. So that's, albeit not in Orangeville, but certainly still close to home.
Yeah, you're connected. I remember you, I think the first time I ever met you, well, I know the first time I ever met you was when your mom was super active with the Dufferin Youth Festival of the Arts. And there was this young teenage photographer who had a camera with a lens, about 2.5 feet long, that seemed to be going around taking pictures of everything that absolutely moved or sometimes didn't move. And so you have a long history with that, right? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I've always been, my entire life has been arts focused. The medium has changed several times and many of them overlap, but the arts and culture community has been a part of my life since I was old enough to hold a paintbrush. I took all of the arts classes when I was a little kid. All of my extracurriculars were arts related. I actually went to college for photography and graphic design, and I had done a bunch of volunteer work with the Dufferin Youth Festival of the Arts through high school and college, doing photography for them back when there were still photographers with school-age children, which doesn't happen quite so much anymore. But my mom was the volunteer coordinator for that event, and it was a huge part of my education. And even when my class wasn't necessarily participating in that festival, mom would pull me from school and take me to help out and volunteer and do photography for them anytime that it was happening. So that's actually where I had met you and Bernadette.
Yes, I really, really, really miss that festival.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Why the arts? What do you think drew you to that?
I don't know. I mean, the arts in general, I have always been a huge believer and have taken great personal comfort in arts. And again, like a huge variety of mediums. I illustrate, I do hand lettering, I write, I obviously I'm a photographer as well. I paint, albeit not crazy well, but I certainly like to dabble. For me, it's just always been a safe place of self-expression and somewhere where I could experiment and try new things and not have to worry about any, performance anxiety or being compared to anyone else, because my sketchbooks are my own, and you know being uh being able to dabble in different mediums has always just been something that I've taken great comfort in. I was a drama student in high school, although that was sort of the end of the on-stage version of me. Of course, that comes with a huge amount of performance anxiety for me. So that was sort of where that ended. But theater has always held a very special place in my heart, and that art of storytelling has always been something that I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed, both as a patron of the arts and as an administrator of the arts.
Right. It's obviously that Theatre. I mean, Theatre Orangeville has had remarkable creative opportunities, provided creative opportunities for young people for the entire 26-year history, and will until the end of time. Always had great programs, but you were programs manager. You were, so that passion that you have for the arts, you really, you've brought to the community in terms of innovative programming, and that you've brought to us, that you've created, or that we've created together, I guess, but that, that is in play, and opportunities for young people. So it's really amazing that passion that you have for the arts that you're able to share. Talk about some of that, about how you see that's impacting on young people in our community today.
I mean, I held that position for nearly 9 years, and the position was new when I came to it. As you say, that youth programming and that academy have been part of Theatre Orangeville since its inauguration. But I think it was about 9 years ago when it sort of got to the volume that it needed a dedicated human to keep track of all the moving parts.
That's true.
So I actually didn't fit the exact criteria that was in the posting when that job was posted, and had called Marilyn Logan, who was general manager at the time, despite the fact it very specifically said to email, and had a conversation with her just about, where my life was, and what I could and couldn't accommodate. And I had known Marilyn for a long time at that point. And of course she said, no, just come in. Let's sit down and have a conversation. So I've always sort of felt that I was meant to find that path, and I was meant to become part of this Theatre Orangeville family. I think that the theater organization was ready for full-time attention at the same time that I was sort of looking for a way to reconnect with that part of my life. The youth programs have been so important to this community and so important to me personally. I don't know that I can really articulate what the emotional impact of seeing kids come through those programs, and the change and development and growth that happens to those kids, not even just artistically. I mean, obviously they come in to gain us a particular skill set, and they develop that skill set over time from program to program. But personally, kids come into this place and become grown-ups, and you can watch what those skill sets that they acquire in our rehearsal hall and on our stage actually do and lend to their personality, the way they approach the world, the way they view other people, the way they view themselves. And I mean, there's lots of kids who've been dancing on coffee tables since they were 2, and were quite clearly headed down this path. but there's also a lot of kids that come to us because mom and dad don't know where else to put them. They might be lost, they might be shy, they might be just somehow unsure, and in that space they find themselves. And for those kids that find a safe space under our roof, those are the kids that made me completely fall in love with this organization. And those are the kids that are going to drive forward the arts and culture community as a whole in this town. Because even if they don't pursue a life in the arts, the impact that these experiences have had on them at such a young age are going to turn them into arts advocates for the rest of their life. And it's been I feel so privileged to be in a position where I've had the opportunity to mentor a lot of those kids and see them grow up and see them go on to, in some cases, devote their lives to changing the world and making it a better, more inclusive place for everybody. So it's, I'm so grateful for the time I spent in that position, and what that experience was able to do for me personally in my own advocacy of not just this organization, but of the arts in general.
Yeah, it's remarkable to see those young people. We've seen them grow up in some instances, and we've seen they are changing the world and making it a better place. Now, so the shift now into a little different chair as general manager and having to put up with my nonsense on a more regular basis.
Is this where I say no comment?
How is that shift been for you? Careful now. You don't want to tell the truth. We are recorded.
You know what? It's I had a lot of really clear expectations for what this transition was going to be. There's a ton of overlap in skill set from what I was doing in my previous position, through management of the academy staff and budgeting and all of that good stuff that lends very well to what the general manager position is. But all of the things I've worked very closely with our GMs over the last 9 years. I feel like I had a really clear understanding of what the job was, what the needs of the organization were, what it was going to mean to work side by side with you on a day-to-day basis. I think I was really thoroughly prepared. That said, much to my surprise and everybody else's, it's not quite the path that it was intended to be. And Bernadette Hardacre, who was my predecessor, of course, and then Marilyn Logan, who came before Bernadette, and I still keep very regular contact between the three of us to sort of compare notes on the organization then and now, because it's a very different world that we're.
And how to keep David on a short leash. That's, I think, probably what you're talking about.
I didn't say that.
Well, there's no need for us to talk about the things that keep you up at night, because they're the same things that probably keep me lying about how we move forward. But I was just reading the other day, and I thought, you are a culturalpreneur. I was just reading that terminology the other day because you have so many other exciting and interesting facets to your life creatively, in terms of other, your design and just other things that you do, and which is really amazing. But one of the things that I'm really excited about that we worked together on recently is the cocktail book. And because your photography, everybody who's seen Raise Your Spirits, which is on sale, of course, TheatreOrangeville.ca or at Booklore. There was the plug, there was the commercial for it.
Shameless promotion.
I know, but that's what the GM wants me to do, is do the shameless stuff to support Theatre Orangeville's initiatives, of course. But it's a great book, but everybody raves about the photography in that book, which was done by yourself. It's beautiful work.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's been many times in my time with Theatre Orangeville in which I've held my camera. I used to do a lot of the archival photography, and I've photographed all of the young companies and all that kind of stuff over the years, and the Creative Partners on Stage program. And so, I mean, there's been lots of times when I've held my camera in hand, but it's the first time that in quite a while that has been a crossover. And so doing the photography for Raise Your Spirits and then all of the layout for the book, it was kind of funny because it was the first time I was putting sort of formal education to play, because of course, like that's where my paid education is in, is photography and design. So it was kind of funny to be able to use it in sort of an official capacity with Theatre Orangeville very specifically. But it was a ton of fun to put together, and I hope that we will put a pin in the cocktail release party that should have happened, because it's certainly a project deserving of a party.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna have when it's safe to gather again, and for us all to, we're gonna have a big blowout cocktail party for absolutely sure. Because it was, I just imagine when we shot those photos in my kitchen, completely distanced, of course. You were on one side of the room, I was out. We were all masked up, and there I was at 9 o'clock in the morning mixing up drinks, and they all went down the sink. Come on, we did not.
It's true. It was a little bit sad actually, but yeah, they all down the sink.
It can't be 9 in the morning, but it may seem kind of a crazy question, or obvious with Christmas coming on and the holidays and all that kind of stuff. But what is bringing you joy these days, away from the theater? What's bringing you just personal joy these days?
I mean, my family first and foremost. We have 2 kids who are obviously over the moon excited for Christmas, and our house is full of Christmas carols and tiny elves and all kinds of lights and trees. We painted a mural on the front window, and there's lights in the tree outside. So I think right now I'm feeding a lot off of their excitement for this time of year. In art, I mean, when on the rare occasion that I have downtime, I'm painting, or I'm drawing, or I'm writing, and that's where I feed my soul, given that we're not in the theater watching shows.
But hey, we're with the online stuff that we're doing, I sometimes feel like we've never been busier. It just, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. There's nothing wrong with being creative. I talked to so many other artistic directors and general managers who are all just, not able to experience what we are experiencing right now, or what our audience or our patrons are experiencing. The fact that we're still creating really great entertainment, albeit in this sort of different, bizarre sort of world, but we will all gather safely again, and it will happen because of you and our great team and staff and the team that you lead. So thank you for that.
We're very lucky to have such a strong team. And I mean, David, as you know, we spend a lot of time on the phone and on Zoom calls with other GMs and ADs from right across the country in Canadian theater. And Theatre Orangeville is incredibly unique, what we've been able to accomplish, and the staff that we've been able to keep short at hand and on call day to day to put together these TOV Presents Online productions is really quite remarkable. I'm incredibly proud of this organization and of this staff team who, are determined to continue to spread joy and art through our community until, as you say, once again, we can gather safely in the theater. But it's, I spend a great deal of time every day thinking about how very lucky we are to be in the position we are in, and to have the buy-in from our patrons who are, coming out and trying something new. Theater online is not something that most of our patrons or we have, experienced before. So it really was a jump of faith, both for the staff and the community, to say, oh, okay, yeah, we'll give this a shot and see what's happening. And,
yeah, it's been remarkable.
Yeah, so I do feel very lucky that we're in the position we're in, with the buy-in from and support from our staff and our patrons, the community.
Yeah. Thank you for this, Sharyn. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and in front of your beautiful tree. So thanks for sharing and letting everybody have a glimpse at what makes you so very special.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow in the staff meeting.
Sounds like a plan.
Our Zoom staff meeting. Okay. Thanks, Sharyn.
Thanks, David.
Here's John Daniel with another great movie review. What do you got for us this week, John?
I look like a fisherman today. So November 17th was like the 1-year anniversary of the very first COVID case, just in case you all needed a reminder about how much this year fell apart. And because of that, I have the perfect movie for anyone else who feels like 2020 has just kicked him in the neck and then laid him out to drip dry. The film is called Thunder Road, not to be confused with the famous Bruce Springsteen song of the same name, although that song does play a big part in this movie. It follows a small-town cop who's just lost his mother and is currently going through a divorce with his ex-wife, as well as just a good old-fashioned all-around midlife crisis. And if anyone who feels like they can't get a grip on anything this year, an hour and a half of watching this guy fumble around on screen might remind you that there's a little bit of levity at the end of this tunnel. This film was written, directed by, and stars a man named Jim Cummings. It was based on a short film of the same name, which took home the Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival when it was first premiered there. And after it premiered, this quote was said about its filmmaker. A mini masterpiece of writing, directing, and acting. This filmmaker is a real discovery. We have no idea who you are, but the three of us left the theater and stalked your IMDb page. I'd be lying if I said I didn't do the same thing every 2 seconds when I first saw this movie. So, Thunder Road, streaming on the Canadian Netflix. Give it a watch and tell us what you think. Loved it, hated it, turned it off in the first 20 minutes because you couldn't keep your mind off all the shenanigans and comeuppances of your own life. Either way, we want to know what you're watching when you're not at your theater. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.
Thanks for that, John. Another great review. So there is lots going on in our community. Look, I got like pages and pages and pages of things to share with you. It's incredible. Thanks to our staff at Orangeville Tourism Center for putting all this together. The annual tree lighting ceremony, of course, took place last week. The BIA in the town of Orangeville brought together some very special guests, Lisa Way, myself, and we had a great time. You can see the tree lighting ceremony and the visit from Santa when Santa showed up in Orangeville for the first time. If you go to Downtown Orangeville's Facebook page, or that's DOWNTOWNORANGEVILLE.CA, you can see all of that. The BIA reminds us that the Orangeville Winter Market is on in December 5th and 19th. It's happening at the Tony Rose Sports Center over on Northman's Way. It runs between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. and it's in Rink B. Okay, so you're not going in the main door; you're going around the side to the to Rink B. Also from the BIA, a lot of businesses and shops are open this holiday season. So please, I've asked you before, shop local. Keep it local this year. Think local before you even think online. I know it's easy, but we got to support our local businesses. They're open late. A lot of businesses downtown on Broadway are open Thursday and Friday nights for Starlight Shopping. So check out the details again at DOWNTOWNORANGEVILLE.CA. And on Friday nights, if you're strolling along, if you're either looking at lights or the display in the center of the median or just doing some shopping or just out walking about, on Friday night, if you're out, there's going to be musicians set up outside of Aardvark, Music and Culture at 145 Broadway. They're going to have speakers outside so everyone can enjoy the music. On the 4th, it's Ryan Hancock from the Campfire Poets. On the 11th, Stan Chan is going to be singing and playing the piano. And on the 18th is Celtic harpist Rusty Ephemeris. So check that one out. Also, the Holiday Extravaganza Guide is available at DATA.ORANGEVILLE.CA. That's where you're going to see the online map. It's going to show the display of light displays all over town. And just a reminder that Santa is in Orangeville. He is, he's around. He's making surprise visits throughout certain neighborhoods on a vintage fire truck. So just listen for that siren. You might, if you hear an old-fashioned siren going off, you better run outside because Santa's going to be on that truck. Check it out. If you still have time to purchase your Christmas tree, those of you who haven't got them up yet, it is only the beginning of December. Check out Elliott Tree Farm, Winter Singers Tree Farm, Hockley Valley Farm, Hockley Crest, Fandango Tree Farm, Cricket Creek Farm, Adams Tree Farms, and Glen Echo Nurseries. You'll find more information about all of those great places to buy trees at inthehills.ca, In the Hills magazine. Also, a special shout out to our friends up at 10 and 10 Garden Center. They've been doing some amazing job of supporting community members and events all through since this whole pandemic started. Santa is going to be in their greenhouse. You needed to make an appointment. It's available on their website. That's 10 and 10 Garden Center. They've turned their whole greenhouse into a Christmas wonderland. And if you show up with a with a cutout snowflake that you kind of make, you're going to get a discount on a purchase there. And they've got another great promotion, is supporting families in need in our community, to get a Christmas tree this year. And if you take in your old ornaments or things that you maybe don't hang on the tree anymore, you're going to get a discount on a purchase of a tree. So Merry Christmas and safe holidays from everybody at Orangeville Tourism. Thanks as always to that staff for putting together a list for me of what's happening in and around your community. Thanks, everybody. Just a reminder that Theatre Orangeville Presents Online is in full swing right now. Our reading of A Christmas Carol runs between December 4th and January the 3rd. And then on December the 18th, you can get a virtual ticket for you and the entire family to see Rockin' Round the Christmas Tree, starring Lisa Way and the Wayward Wind Band. As always, when you buy these links, they're active for a couple of weeks, so you can watch it anytime in the comfort and safety of your own home. That's Theatre Orangeville Presents Online. We've got great programming coming for you into the new year, and we'll be talking about that really soon. Be well, stay safe, stay happy, and we'll see you in your theater online really soon.